Welcome back to GDT Tech Reviews. In this video we are going to do a detailed review and pick the top 5 best camera for video, 2022. So let us get started and the review based on our studies and small research. If you have any personal suggestion, do let us know in the comment section. If you are for the first time, don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell icon for more videos. We will be also providing affiliates link to purchase from Amazon. Kindly use to for best offers and purchase from anywhere in the world. So let's get started. The Canon PowerShot G7X Mark III is a compact point-and-shoot camera suitable for vlogging. It can capture good quality shots that remain mostly free of noticeable visual noise, so your images shouldn't appear very grainy, and you can also use this camera to live stream directly to YouTube, though we don't currently test this. It has a touch-sensitive screen that can get bright enough that you can still see it under direct sunlight. You can also use it to navigate its menu or flip it upwards to face you when the camera is pointed at you. The Canon PowerShot G7X Mark III is good for vlogging. It has a great screen that you can flip up to face you when the camera is pointed at you. It's also exceptionally portable, and footage taken while walking should remain smooth and stable. It can shoot in 4K and FHD without a crop, however, it does incur a reduction in your field of view when its stabilization feature is set to high. It's also okay at tracking faces, though it struggles to capture clear and sharp footage free of noticeable visual noise while shooting in 4K and FHD. Unfortunately, its battery performance is poor and frequently causes the camera to shut down from overheating, especially when shooting in 4K. This can make it hard to record long videos in 4K, so it may be best to stick to recording. Body is made of plastic and metal. FUJIFILM's XS10 is a 26MP interchangeable lens camera that shoots high-quality 4K video and comes with a deep grip and a different, though excellent, control scheme than most other FUJIFILM cameras. The company describes the XS10 as a cross between the company's X-T30 and the X-H1 cameras. You get the guts from the former and the design and in-body image stabilization feature, in a new miniaturized form, from the latter. The XS10 camera is targeted toward both beginning and experienced users who may have Canon or Nikon DSLRs and want something a little more familiar than a typical FUJIFILM camera. And, with a price of $999 for the body $100 more than the X-T30, it's not necessarily out of reach for that audience. Being a smaller camera, it's no surprise that the X-T4's IBIS unit wasn't going to fit into the XS10. So, the company designed a new one that is 30% smaller and lighter than the X-T4's. A new motion sensor makes the unit more efficient, and the XS10 has a redesigned circuit board that reduces power consumption. There's a very small difference in stabilization performance on the XS10 versus the X-T4, just half a stop. It offers 6 stops of shake reduction on all unstabilized FUJIFILM lenses save for the XF16 to 55mm f2.8, which weighs in at 5.5 stops. Most stabilized FUJIFILM lenses vary from 5.5 to 6 stops, save for the XF80mm macro, which offers 5 stops. These differences primarily have to do with how much coverage the lens offers outside the sensor area, not necessarily whether the lenses have their own stabilization. Those who stick to auto and scene modes will gain a few new features. The XS10 now has an autofilm simulation mode which will select between Provia, Standard, Velvia, Vivid, and Astia, Soft, depending on the scene. Users can still manually select any of the film simulation modes offered. In our testing, the camera seemed to err on the side of selecting Provia, at least with portrait shooting. It's clear from the get-go that the Lumix S1H is designed for cinema, more so than even its predecessor, the video-centric Lumix S1. While both snappers share the same resolution, the sensor for the S1H was developed to handle the new camera's pro-level video capabilities. There's a whole smorgasbord of video resolutions, frame rates and bit rates to choose from on the S1H, from 6K/24p to 4K/30p and 4K/60p, and plenty more besides, with most of them available at no crop. If, however, you feel the need to crop your footage, there's a Super 35 mode available which also maintains 4K resolution. Most users won't necessarily need to deliver projects to clients in 6K resolution, although shooting in high resolutions means you have plenty to work with when editing the footage to a 4K crop. Every video resolution is available with 10-bit color, which offers plenty of editing flexibility during post-processing, and with 4:2:0 color gamut for the 6K and 5.9K options. However, if you need a touch more chroma information, then you will need to shoot in 4K that records in 10-bit 4:2:2 color. There's also the option to use anamorphic lenses with the camera, although it's something we haven't been able to try. Instead, we mostly shot with the Lumix S Pro 24-70mm f/2.8 lens, which is superb for everyday recording. Anamorphic shooting is available using the full 3:2 sensor in 6K and the 10-bit 4:2:0 color space. There's also desqueeze functionality available on board when viewing footage shot with anamorphic glass, with several aspect ratios available in the menu system. As expected, from a camera of this caliber, the video quality is almost flawless. There's 14 stops of dynamic range when shooting vlog, meaning colors are beautiful in footage, with plenty of details, although, it must be noted that nobody on Tech Radar's photography team is a colorist, just photographers keen on new cameras and technology. In the right hands, the S1H is sure to impress. Nighttime filming isn't a challenge either, thanks to the dual native ISO. Videos shot at ISO 12800 and 25600 had acceptable levels of noise, while details in shadows or areas of darkness were also quite remarkable. That said, autofocus, AF, does suffer a little in poor lighting. Although Panasonic has used the same contrast-based depth from defocus, DFD, technology here as it has in the other S-series cameras, AF performance slows down in low light situations, with both stills and video. One of the key criticisms of the original Panasonic Lumix S1 and S1R cameras was their very large size and weight. Panasonic has been very keen to address that issue with the S5, managing to shrink down all the key components into a body which is smaller and lighter than the Lumix GH5, one of its Micro Four Thirds models. This very much feels like the camera Panasonic should have used to launch the S-series, keeping the form factor that had already proved popular but increasing the size of the sensor within. At this point it's also worth mentioning the 20-60mm lens, which is included as part of the S5 kit package. This is a small and neat lens, which makes it an ideal partner for the S5. The problem is that other L-mount lenses aren't necessarily so diminutive, especially the proprietary Panasonic offerings. Still, a new, smaller camera could mean that smaller lenses are indeed on their way. Being part of the L-mount alliance means you can also use the S5 with Sigma and Leica lenses, which gives you further options, too. The Lumix S5 feels and operates very much like any other Lumix camera you may have used in the past. While that means it might not be the sleekest and most attractive camera on the market, it is extremely functional. The chunky grip sits extremely comfortably in the hand, with a molded rest on the back of the camera to help your thumb sit very naturally on it. The FUJIFILM X-T4 is the company's latest high-end photo and video APS-C mirrorless camera. It brings in-body stabilization, faster shooting, improved autofocus and a larger battery to the already very capable X-T3. Fujifilm says that the X-T4 is a sister model to the X-T3, rather than a replacement, which is borne out by the specs and pricing. It's a 26MP camera capable of 20 fps shooting and 4K capture at up to 60p. In use we found it offers distinct benefits over both the X-T3 and the older XH1. The X-T4's image quality is essentially the same as that of the X-T3, with the exception of the new color chrome effect blue processing option, 2 extra film simulation modes and a clarity processing parameter that applies large radius sharpening to give images more punch. The X-T4 features the same multi-shot HDR mode first introduced on the X Pro 3. This shoots, aligns and combines 3 images and tries to cancel out any movement that's occurred between them. To give itself leeway for alignment, the images are slightly cropped in and then upscaled back to 26MP, which results in a slight reduction in fine detail. The HDR mode has 5 settings, specified in the menus under Shooting Settings, Drive Setting, HDR Mode.